I'm 42. I've been married for 11 years. 2 kids, a mortgage, a dog that sheds everywhere. The kind of life that looks boring but safe from the outside. I used to think boring was a blessing. Before everything blew up, my biggest worries were work deadlines and whether our oldest was falling behind in math. My wife and I weren't perfect, but we were steady. Comfortable. We laughed at the same dumb shows, argued about money like everyone else, made plans we never fully kept. The day the internet installer came was supposed to be nothing. Just another boring weekday problem to solve. Our old connection kept dropping, and with the kids doing schoolwork online, it felt urgent. I remember joking with my wife that at least someone else would deal with the cables this time. She smiled, kissed my cheek, told me to go to my home office and take calls. Everything felt normal. That's the part that still messes with me. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing warned me that my life was about to crack open in the most stupid, mundane way possible. The guy arrived late morning. Mid-30s maybe. Friendly, confident, one of those people who talks easily. He introduced himself, shook my hand, and my wife offered him coffee like she always does with service people. I went back to work. Through the thin walls, I could hear their voices drifting in and out, small talk, laughter. It didn't register as anything strange. My wife is social. I trusted her completely. 3 hours. That's how long it took. I remember glancing at the clock and thinking it was taking longer than expected. But internet installs always do, right? At one point, I came out to grab water. The installer was kneeling by the router. My wife was leaning against the counter, arms crossed, smiling. Normal. Harmless. I went back to my desk. That's the thing about trust. You don't notice it until it's gone. At the time, I didn't feel a flicker of jealousy or concern. I felt grateful someone else was handling the mess of wires I hated. If I could go back, I wouldn't change anything. Because even if I had walked in earlier, I think the damage was already done. The internet worked perfectly after that. No drops. Fast speeds. Smooth streaming. I even commented on it that night. Worth the wait, I said. My wife laughed, a little too brightly maybe, but I didn't clock it. She seemed energized, almost giddy. I assumed it was relief. Or maybe I didn't want to think any deeper. The first red flag came days later, subtle enough to ignore. She started guarding her phone. Nothing dramatic, just turning the screen away, taking calls in the other room. I told myself I was imagining it. We still slept in the same bed. Still ate dinner together. Still talked about the kids. Life didn't suddenly collapse. But something shifted. She was distracted. Restless. Less patient with me. More critical. Like I was suddenly in the way of something else. I asked if she was stressed. She said no. Work was fine. Everything was fine. I believed her. Or I pretended to. Looking back, I realize how hard my brain worked to protect the version of my life I needed to believe in. Accepting doubt felt more dangerous than swallowing discomfort. About 2 weeks later, I noticed her smiling at her phone. Not a polite smile. A private one. I asked who she was texting. Just a friend, she said too quickly. I didn't push. I wish I could say it was because I trusted her. But the truth is I was afraid of what pushing might uncover. That night, she stayed up late scrolling. The glow from her phone lit up her face while I pretended to sleep. My chest felt tight. My thoughts ran in circles. I told myself I was being paranoid. That marriages go through dull patches. That attraction fades and returns. That this was normal. Then one afternoon, while she was showering, her phone buzzed on the counter. A notification preview popped up. Can't stop thinking about earlier. 3 hours wasn't enough. My hands started shaking. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. My stomach dropped in a way I'd never felt before. 3 hours. The shower kept running. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, already knowing my life was splitting into before and after. When she came out, towel wrapped around her, humming, I didn't recognize her. She looked like a stranger wearing my wife's face. I asked her calmly, too calmly, who the message was from. She froze. Just for a second. But it was enough. It's nothing, she said. I told her what I saw. Her shoulders slumped. She sat down hard on the bed, like gravity suddenly doubled. She didn't cry at first. She didn't deny it either. It just happened, she whispered. I remember laughing. A sharp, ugly sound that didn't feel like it came from me. With the internet guy? I asked, even though I already knew. She nodded. 3 hours. That stupid number kept echoing in my head. 3 hours while I worked 10 feet away. 3 hours while I trusted her completely. She tried to explain. Loneliness. Feeling unseen. A moment of connection. Words I'd heard in movies, never thought I'd hear in my own bedroom. I felt hollow. Like something essential had been scooped out of me, leaving only noise and confusion behind. Anger came later. At first, I was numb. I asked questions I didn't want answers to. Did they use protection? Was it planned? Had it happened again? No, she kept saying. It was a one-time thing. I don't know if that made it better or worse. She cried then. Full-body sobs. Apologies spilling out faster than she could control. She begged me not to tell anyone. Not the kids. Not our families. I paced the room. I couldn't look at her without seeing him. Without imagining what they did while I was on conference calls, trusting the walls of my home. I slept on the couch that night. Or tried to. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that message. 3 hours wasn't enough. I hated myself for not noticing. For being boring. For letting the marriage become something that could be interrupted by a stranger with a toolbox. I also hated her. And loving her at the same time made me feel weak, stupid, and ashamed. The next days blurred together. We didn't tell the kids. We smiled through routines like bad actors. Inside, I was unraveling. She kept apologizing. Writing long messages. Making promises. Saying she'd do anything to fix it. I asked her why him. He listened, she said. That hurt more than anything else. I replayed our entire relationship, searching for cracks. Times I was distracted. Moments I chose comfort over effort. I carried guilt that wasn't mine to hold, but I held it anyway. Friends noticed I was quiet. At work, I stared at screens without absorbing anything. I couldn't escape the irony that our internet was flawless while my mind was completely offline. At night, I'd lie awake wondering if every laugh we shared afterward was fake. If every touch was contaminated. She wanted counseling. I said maybe. I wasn't ready to decide anything. Some days I wanted to forgive her just to stop the pain. Other days I wanted to burn everything down and start over alone. We did confront each other fully, eventually. No yelling. Just brutal honesty. I told her how small I felt. How humiliated. How unsafe my own house felt now. She told me she felt invisible for years. That she didn't plan it, didn't even think it would go there. I asked if she loved him. No, she said immediately. I love you. I wanted to believe her. I still do. That's part of the problem. She deleted his number. Changed her routine. Gave me full access to her phone without me asking. Every gesture felt both reassuring and heartbreaking. Trust doesn't come back because someone offers it. It comes back when your body stops bracing for impact. Mine never did. We tried to be normal. Date nights. Family outings. But everything felt fragile, like glass glued back together. Functional, but forever cracked. I realize forgiveness isn't a single decision. It's something you wake up and fail at over and over again. The kids eventually noticed the tension. We told them we were working on things. They didn't ask for details, but they felt it. Kids always do. I started seeing a therapist alone. I needed a place to say the ugly thoughts out loud. The ones that made me feel like a monster. Like imagining revenge. Or wishing I'd never found out. Or hating myself for still wanting my wife. My self-esteem collapsed. I compared myself to every man I saw. Wondered what I lacked that made her choose a stranger. Some nights, she reached for me. Sometimes I pulled away. Sometimes I didn't. Each time felt confusing, like betraying myself in a different way. People say infidelity breaks trust. That's true. But it also fractures identity. I didn't know who I was anymore, a husband trying to heal, or a fool delaying the inevitable. The house stayed the same. The internet stayed perfect. But nothing inside me did. Months passed. No dramatic resolution. Just slow erosion. We stayed together. On paper, we survived. In reality, something essential never came back. I stopped asking certain questions because I knew the answers would hurt. She stopped offering reassurance because she was tired of being reminded. Sometimes we laughed like before, and it almost felt real. Other times, silence sat between us like a third person. I thought about leaving. A lot. Then I thought about the kids. The logistics. The loneliness. The fear of starting over at my age. She asked me one night if I'd ever truly forgive her. I said, I don't know. It was the most honest answer I had. Forgiveness feels like a finish line people talk about. But for me, it became a fog. You walk through it, hoping you're going the right direction, never sure if you're moving at all. A year later, the memory still ambushes me at random. A router blinking. A technician's van. The phrase, installation window. I don't think about the act as much anymore. I think about the choice. The ease with which our life was stepped out of. My wife tries. She really does. Sometimes I see the guilt in her eyes, and I hate that I still care enough to feel sorry for her. Other times, resentment flares up without warning. I'll be making coffee, and suddenly I'm furious all over again. I've learned that betrayal doesn't heal linearly. It loops. It sneaks up. It changes shape. People tell me I'm strong for staying. Others hint I'm weak. Both opinions miss the point. I didn't stay because I'm noble. I stayed because leaving felt just as terrifying. Love doesn't disappear overnight. It just becomes heavier to carry. We never told our families the real reason things changed. The story is stress. Work. Life. Sometimes that secrecy feels like another betrayal, this time of myself. I wonder if she thinks about him. If she remembers those 3 hours with fondness or regret. I've never asked? I'm not sure I want to know. What I do know is that something innocent was taken from me. The assumption that my home was safe. That my partner would protect our life together as fiercely as I did. I'm more guarded now. Less open. Less naive. There's a version of me from before that day I miss deeply. He believed in quiet loyalty. He didn't check phones or read into pauses. I don't blame myself anymore. That took time. Her choice was hers alone. But understanding that didn't give me back what I lost. Sometimes I think about posting this online earlier. About screaming into the void. I didn't. I stayed quiet. Processed it alone. Maybe that was a mistake. If you're reading this and you're ignoring a feeling in your gut, I get it. I really do. Denial can feel safer than truth. But truth has a way of showing up anyway. Sometimes through a glowing screen. Sometimes through a casual sentence that changes everything. I don't regret confronting her. I regret the simplicity of my life before I had to question everything. Our marriage still exists. It's functional. It might even last. But it's not untouched. It's not innocent. And maybe that's adulthood. Learning that love can survive damage, but never without scars. I carry mine quietly. Every day. Like background noise you stop noticing until the room goes silent. I still use the internet every day. For work. For news. For distraction. Every time it works flawlessly, I think about how absurd that is. How something so broken led to something so permanently altered. If I could talk to that version of myself, I wouldn't warn him. I'd just tell him to be gentle with what comes after. There's no clean ending to stories like this. Just choices layered on top of pain. I chose to stay. Others might choose differently. Neither guarantees peace. What I've learned is that betrayal doesn't just test love. It tests your relationship with yourself. Your boundaries. Your capacity to live with unresolved hurt. Some days I manage. Some days I don't. This is one of the days I needed to say it out loud. I don't know why I'm posting this now. Maybe because I finally accept that I'll never fully process it. I'll just learn to live alongside it. If you're in something similar, I won't tell you what to do. There's no universal right answer. Only what you can carry. I loved my wife. I still do, in a quieter, more cautious way. I also lost something I'll never get back. Both truths exist. 3 hours changed my life. Not because of sex, but because of what it revealed about trust, fragility, and how quickly normal can vanish. The internet still works perfectly. Some things do. Others never will again.